Good evening. I'm speaking with today a man who really does not need any introduction, Mr. Thissa Vitharana, the Minister for Science and Technology. Mr. Vitharana, very warm welcome to the program. I would like to begin on issues that I don't think you are normally asked about, that of your portfolio of science and technology, because you're so embroiled in matters of constitutional reform that I don't think people emphasize what your ministerial portfolio is about, particularly in this, the year of IT and English. Now, I've tried to get a blueprint of what it is the government will do over the course of the year for the establishment of or the strengthening of greater IT capacity and English capacity in the workforce and in the body politic. I haven't been able to quite get that information. What is exactly being done in this regard?
Well, this suggestion came out of a Human Resources Development Subcommittee appointed by Cabinet, in which Honorable Karu Jayasuriya, as Minister of Public Administration, was acting as chairman, and I was a member of that committee. And we thought that we should actually have a year in which ICT is actively promoted, so that we get the maximum benefit to the country, not only from what is being done under the ICTA, e-government and e-Sri Lanka program, which is to, as it were, promote the use of ICT countrywide in all sectors of our economy. But here to try to promote the development of the ICT industry itself, so that we can generate employment and get the maximum income for the country. Now, to do this, when we discussed in that committee, it became very clear that what was required was not only a knowledge of ICT at the requisite professional levels, but in addition that there should be a good knowledge of English. And then we put up a joint cabinet paper, which was accepted by Cabinet, and on that basis the President has declared this year as the year of English language and ICT. Now, a special task force has been set up, which is headed by Dr. Sarath Amunugama by the President. And this task force has been entrusted with the responsibility of carrying out this mandate. And I'm not going to go into the details, but basically through this there will be an island-wide program to develop ICT not only through the school system, but also outside it. For instance, there is the President's Nanasala program, there is our ministry's Vidata program, where we have already set up centers which are outreaching to the rural areas to take ICT knowledge to people and promote ICT use. Now, that will be used as the base to not only give, for instance, NITA has the computer driving license examination, which is an internationally recognized basic qualification for a professional in the ICT sector. So now, Vidata, we were having ICT programs. Now we have upgraded them to fit in with that certificate requirements, so that anyone following free ICT training in the villages will automatically come up to that level, which will enable them to go into professional, shall we say, competence.
This is an endeavor that then complements whatever that the ICTA or ICT agency has been doing. But a criticism of the ICTA programs writ large, particularly with the nanosalas, is that there are very serious questions of sustainability. I don't know the exact number of how many there are around the country, but there seems to be very few of them that are sustainable without either government subsidy or the communication subsidy, and so the numbers don't really add up in terms of empowerment of those communities.
You see, the problem is this, that many of the nanosalas have been set up in temples, kovils and others, where the idea of dealing with money, and accountability are not very well established.
Why was that?
But the reason was this, you see, initially the World Bank that was supporting that program wanted entrepreneurs to take it up. But what actually happened was that these entrepreneurs were more urban based than rural, and they in addition levied fees which, rather than narrowing the digital gap, widened the digital gap. So the president was very conscious of this, and he decided to take this over to village level temples and kovils and other religious places. Now, what we are now trying to do is, you see, in every Vidata center, there is a computer operator who's a properly trained person. So what we are doing is, the nanasalas around the Vidata center, we are going to put in charge of this computer operator, so that then they can actively intervene to make them more sustainable and effective. And then along with this, we are also having an English training program, which will be conveyed through these same channels. So that the idea is, at the moment, say if you take the business service outsourcing, those facilities are largely available in Colombo, and it is the English educated people with ICT competence who are benefiting. But through what is being attempted, we are trying to take those benefits to the rural areas as well.
Professor Rohan Samarji was speaking about how communications and technology might help address in some part the urgent needs of those, say, IDPs in places like Manik camp, came up with, as an idea, the suggestion that you could have maybe mobile phones in those camps, so that the government can get responses and needs from the ground, and those in the camps themselves. Of course, you could have it in a system. He suggested that you could bar the numbers, that you could bar the numbers that were outgoing, so it won't be free for all. But the idea that mobile phones can help in the situation that Sri Lanka is faced with post-war, if one might call it that. Now, another concern with ICTA is that it is very PC-oriented. And a number of studies have shown, not just in Sri Lanka, but in the Southeast Asian and South Asian region, that mobile phones really have year on year shown incredible growth. So not just to deal with post-war situations, but just development in general. Is the Year of ICT and English also addressing that aspect? Because I've only heard an emphasis on PCs.
I'm afraid I cannot answer your question. I would agree with you that we should fully tap the potential of mobile phones, and we need to look into that angle. I will actually, our task force hasn't met for some time. I hope that we will meet soon, and certainly I will raise this issue.
And is that because you have, and maybe moving on, transitioning to matters of constitutional reform, is that because you've been...
No, not me. I think everyone's been very busy with so many issues that it has not done justice to our responsibility.
But in terms of, I mean, just to end up, maybe wrap up the Year of ICT and English, are there any significant milestones that, say, December 31st, you would say, yes, we reached this? I mean, is there a percentage of English-speaking people? Is there any interaction actually with the Minister of Education? Because
there is. There is. The Education Ministry is represented. The Higher Education Ministry is represented.
Because
in the task force.
Isn't it the case that there are no English teachers in these schools?
There is a shortage of English teachers. That is a general lack. I mean, and even if you look at ICT, we have really started at the wrong end. See, we should have started at the lower school level and then built up, because that is the age at which people take to these things like fish to water.
Imbibe the knowledge.
And unfortunately, because of our limited resources, the decision, I was also a party to it, where we had to take a decision that we needed to introduce the ICT at the O level and A level, so that people with some qualifications would emerge, who would then be able to get jobs that way, because of the pressing need for employment. But on the whole, I think there is a need to broaden our ICT base in the education setup. But certainly it's not confined to that. And even the English teaching, what I know what the task force has done is at the moment they have, you see, English teaching in India has been done very successfully using the initial talking approach rather than the grammar approach.
Right.